The Outer Worlds 2. What exactly is this game? I think it's important to have a clear look at this game without the rose-tinted goggles of, New Vegas fans. And trust me, I'm one of them. I'm a massive New Vegas autist as well. So, I've got my priorities in life straightened out. Don't worry about it.
Can you tell me your name?
My name is Jeff.
So today I just want to cut through the BS and basically tell you what the other Outer Worlds 2 reviews won't say. Now, we are getting some, press coverage around this game now, stuff that I've found out that I'm not necessarily allowed to talk about, so I'm not going to go into major details, but there is a overall impression so far of this game from, everyone's hands-on and early access coverage and all that kind of stuff. And basically, what you need to know is the Outer Worlds 2 is shaping up to be an interesting game and an actual RPG, and that's something I want to stress. This is an actual RPG, a true RPG game, but simply saying it's an RPG doesn't automatically make it a win. And there's a lot of nostalgia baiting from Obsidian themselves, saying from the people who made New Vegas.
Why are you running?
And, like I said, I am a massive New Vegas fan, but this isn't New Vegas. This is not nearly as good as New Vegas. And, there are a lot of people who are worked up and upset with this game. And I'm going to talk about the kind of controversy around this game and some of the craziness that just doesn't make sense and all of that kind of stuff. But there is things that you do need to be aware of that most people just kind of, gloss over. But for me, it's very important. Like the writing itself and how Obsidian has changed over time with their games and their quality of writing, in my opinion. So we're going to discuss all of that today, and I do hope you enjoy. Like the video if you're new, and subscribe to the channel if you do want to become a wise one.
Your Mac friend, Brent Rambo.
So I'm going to save the positives and negatives for my Outer Worlds 2 review. Like I said, that's coming very shortly. So today I just want to discuss the overall impressions of this game from other outlets and what the actual reviews will be. I like to do this with big games that are coming out that I'm very interested in, give you the overall impression, the conversation around the game, and then discuss what the reviews will actually be at the end of the video. And I'm going to tell you what other reviews won't be telling you. Because face it, the gaming industry is also about shilling, and basically that is what is making gaming journalism so toxic. That's why I try and cut through all the BS and give you my early impressions. So to start off with the good, okay, this is an actual full RPG, like I said, and I'm going to go into all the gameplay mechanics and details in my review of The Outer Worlds 2. But just know that, traits, skills, perks, they all feed into each other, and you can actually create multiple characters and have a completely different gaming experience with The Outer Worlds 2. And that is something to be celebrated, because it's been a while since we've actually got a proper, true RPG from Obsidian. I would say, honestly, nothing of that quality has come out since New Vegas.
My name is Jeff.
But that doesn't mean this game is perfect and is going to be, the perfect itch for us Fallout lovers. If you're not aware, I've made tons of Fallout content. I'm an absolute diehard fan of Fallout. I don't usually swear my life away to franchises or consumer culture because it's fucking ridiculous. But I will admit that Fallout is my favorite video game franchise and, just kind of universe, the lore and everything like that. So I am very much invested emotionally in the Fallout license, but this isn't going to be on the same level, okay? So let me just say that. So traits really do matter in The Outer Worlds 2, and it does make for unique playstyles. You can be dumb, you can be abrasive, and of course you can spec into things like science, hacking, explosives. And what I love about this, and what I do really think The Outer Worlds 2 is going to be great at, is going back to that old school RPG feel, like in the original Fallout games, where you can actually blow open a door with explosives. It's not just limited to combat. You can't actually interact with something in the world unless if you're actually specialized in that area. And I think that's really cool, and that does truly make it feel like a proper RPG. Also within the, dialogue, I've seen a lot of skill checks and stuff like that, so that's all looking super good, and I'm going to discuss that more in my Outer Worlds 2 review. But the point of this is to discuss what other reviews of the Outer Worlds 2 won't be telling you. So let's get into some of the drama and controversy around this game. This video is sponsored by Eneba, your one-stop shop for all things gaming. Whether you're looking for discounted game keys, gift cards, or in-game currency, Eneba's got your back. Fast, reliable, and always crazy affordable. With over 40,000 digital products that you can buy, you can get huge sales on so many different things, from PlayStation to Xbox to Switch and Steam, Xbox, PlayStation, Epic Games, and more. Simply find the game you're looking for and head to purchase. It covers everything from PayPal to credit cards. It's got you covered with an amazing Trustpilot score. If you need help with purchasing, then just simply contact support. It's everything you need and a gamer's paradise if you're a hardcore enthusiast. And if you're subscribed to this channel, a wise one, you will know how to take advantage of quality deals like this. Why pay full price when you can just get the games you want at a cheaper price thanks to Eneba? It's a no-brainer. It has massive sales on the latest games releasing, which is fantastic. And if you do need support, Eneba has your back with 24-hour support and an excellent secure payment system. So head down below, use my link, and secure a great discount on games today. Now, from what I've actually seen from the hands-on and all of the gameplay and stuff, people aren't super happy with the companions. The characters in this game look quite interesting, but the companions, a lot of people are upset with them simply because they are very generic, modern-day gaming characters. And I don't mean that it's woke like most, grifter channels that will say everything's woke. But what I do mean is that it is modern-day gaming slop, in the fact that you don't get any interesting characters. You don't get any morally grey or, darker or more complicated characters. For example, Boone or Arcane Ganon from Fallout New Vegas, or someone like the Burnt Man. So I'm not here saying that it's woke because, they're all very diversive and all that kind of stuff. What I do mean to say is the characters and companions in this game seem to be of that safe branded corporate shit that we see in most media today, where they just have to play it safe. For example, the characters in Avowed, okay, most of them don't feel like real people. Most of them feel like safe branded, kind of hollow NPCs that, a corporation feels comfortable putting out there because it can't offend anyone. That's the kind of character development we got in games like Avowed. And it's not just Avowed, it's modern day gaming that just doesn't like to do anything risky anymore because they know it could upset people in this day and age. For example, Battlefield, your enemies in the single player campaign, they aren't actually aligned with an actual organization or a country. They're not affiliated in any way that could be offensive. Same thing with Starfield. Most people, most NPCs and writing in that game was very bland and safe, and there was no, characters with questioning morality that you would see in older games like New Vegas, okay? From what I've seen, I haven't seen anything like that, and I think that's what people are so just kind of tired about, and that's what they're seeing with the, companions, especially their design and just like how they are written. It isn't the most interesting. They all have these cheesy one-liners, stuff like that, so that is something to be aware of. Now, I am actually looking forward to this game. I know I'm saying some negative stuff, but that's simply because in this video I'm trying to highlight things that other reviewers will just gloss over because they're shilling for this game.
Oh my god! What is that?
Vestal reporting for duty. Please assume the position.
Now, there are going to be tons of different factions at play. You're going to get Auntie's Choice versus the Board versus the Earth Directorate and all that kind of stuff. So there's actual faction gameplay back in this, and that's very, very good because it means throughout the game you will actually see different choices play out like you would a traditional Obsidian RPG. And Avowed to me just felt very safe and very much like a warm-up for the Outer Worlds 2. But a lot of people just weren't happy with that game, just simply because of the lack of interesting choices and characters and writing and stuff like that, you know, it all felt very safe. It doesn't mean it's a bad game. In fact, I enjoyed some of my time with it at the beginning, but it didn't grip me because it doesn't have anything interesting to say. You know, it's very much a video game. The reason I say all of this is I almost feel bad for Obsidian because they've kind of shot themselves in the foot, because I feel like New Vegas was just such a freak accident of it being so good and so morally complicated and just, you know, the perfect balance of writers, and, you know, they had help from Bethesda because, you know, they were kind of building off of the Fallout 3 engine, which kind of helped but also limited it in some ways. But the point is, they made a fantastic Fallout game. Probably one of the best, if not the best, Fallout game, let's be honest. And since then, everyone has been hankering for an experience like that, and they've just not been able to deliver, thanks to, you know, just changes within our society, their staff, and shitty technology like Unreal Engine 5. So I just feel like, you know, no matter what they do, they can't actually give us what we'll want, which is a Fallout New Vegas experience. So that is basically the main discussion around The Outer Worlds 2. It is that of the writing. We've also seen that modern day kind of slop writing, that meme quality writing of, you know, when your character interfaces with an NPC, not necessarily the writing itself is bad, but it's kind of that avowed reactionary based, you know, writing. And what I mean by that is your character will have an option to do something, and it's quite embarrassing. It's kind of got that teenager level of interaction and writing at times where, you know, you would text to someone, looks down shyly at my feet and says, you know, that kind of cringe bullshit. A disgusting kind of level of interaction that you would get from like a fucking Redditor. And then of course it's just the world that they've built up for themselves. And this is all coming from a subjective experience, I've got to be honest, mostly. But I'm not really interested that much in the Outer Worlds universe. It's not very interesting to me. It's this same tired trope of we're actually a greedy corporation ourselves, but we're satirically making fun of other corporations and the idea of consumer culture and consumer capitalism. Wink wink. Remember when we actually wanted to charge you a ridiculous amount of money for this game?
Companions are a very, very important part of merchandising, because that's the real beauty of the sequel. We're talking merch, baby. It is the lifeblood. It is what fuels us. Do you want to see some of my ideas? Hop, hop. Check this out. Gen Alpha loves body pillows, especially ones that look like human beings for some reason, right? Who needs a significant other when you could have a knife-wielding space psycho up in your sheets, huh?
It's the opposite of being self-aware, especially coming from, you know, a company and a developer like Obsidian. And when the whole universe is built around that trope, it doesn't really make for an interesting sci-fi compelling universe, at least in my opinion. You know, when you compare it to the deep lore and the whole history of Fallout and how much they've got to build on that, you know, IP, you know, it's just night and day different. And I'm not saying that, you know, this necessarily can't ever get to that level, but it's the same thing with Starfield. You know, they're not building an interesting narrative to begin with, so it's quite difficult to get invested as much as you would in something as morally complicated as something like Fallout. And I know that's just my own experience, so maybe, you know, you love the universe of the Outer Worlds, you love the non-seriousness of it and the very tongue-in-cheek nature of it, but for me, it doesn't work at all times. Sometimes I really like it, and I think there are some great moments. I really did enjoy my time with the first game for the most part, but I just don't think when your whole game is built around this one theme, it makes it a super compelling RPG. I'm trying to get all the bad stuff out of the way in this video and then focus mainly on the good stuff. Of course, I will touch on some negatives in my full Outer Worlds 2 review, but I am just telling you what other reviews are going to gloss over. So, you know, don't think I hate the game. I don't. I'm actually very excited to play the full experience, but there are just some things that I know a lot of people are going to gloss over, and then people are going to be, you know, maybe disappointed with the actual experience that you get. But I say all of this even though the actual gameplay quality and the level of, you know, combat and RPG choices and all of that kind of stuff, all of that has improved so much. It's the Outer Worlds, but way better. So I'm not saying it's a bad game whatsoever. I am just simply talking about some things that I think people need to be aware of. And that is why I think The Outer Worlds 2 is going to get a mixed score. It's not going to be high ratings across the board like the first game was, because that was when everyone was hankering for a proper RPG. Since then, we have got proper RPGs like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. So thank you so much for watching, my wise ones. Let me know what you think of The Outer Worlds 2 down below. And please let me know what you think The Outer Worlds 2 reviews are shaping up to be. And from everything that I've seen, it has been fairly positive across board with press and stuff like that, but there are some things that you need to be aware of, and the drama around this game, you know, with everyone being upset with the pricing before, the fact that this is coming with Game Pass, but now Game Pass has kind of shot themselves in the foot as well by increasing the prices, and just the whole corporate nature of this game, that's kind of, you know, giving it a lot of drama and controversy, and simply because Avowed was not exactly everyone's favorite game, so people are slightly worried about this game. So please let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Stay awesome, and I'll see you soon. Peace out.